So you've tried cutting carbs, you've skipped meals, maybe even lived on bacon and butter coffee for a few weeks. For sure, the scale moved for a while. But then the weight came back, or worse, you felt tired, bloated, and constantly craving something sweet. If you're over 50, frustrated by diets that stop working, today we're going to break down the big three: keto, intermittent fasting, and low carb. We'll cover what actually works, what backfires, and how to figure it out and what fits your life and metabolism right now. Here's the truth. Most diets work at first not because they're magic, but because you're suddenly eating less, cutting out processed food, or just paying attention for once. But when that initial drop on the scale stalls, most people think they did something wrong, when really the diet just wasn't built to last. It either didn't match your hormones, your lifestyle, or your stress levels. And over 50, those things matter more than ever. That's why instead of asking, what's the best diet, the better question is, what approach supports my body now and keeps me consistent? Here is what we're going to look at today. Let's start with keto. The keto diet is high fat, very low carb, and moderate protein. The goal? To shift your body into a state called ketosis, where it burns fat for fuel instead of carbohydrates. Now, this can sound amazing, and for some people it is, especially in the short term. I used it before. And when you remove almost all carbs, your insulin levels drop, your appetite often decreases, and the scale starts to move quickly. For people who've been carb heavy for years, it can feel like a reset. You might even feel more mentally clear, especially if you were dealing with energy crashes before. But here's the downside. It's not exactly easy to stick with. And if you're looking at 20 to 30 grams of carbs per day, that's less than what's in one apple. That means no bread, no pasta, no fruit, and definitely no sweets. It means navigating social events, family meals, and restaurant menus with a lot more effort. And if you're not tracking it carefully, it's easy to end up eating too much fat and not enough protein, which can stall progress, especially in women over 50. Plus, once you stop keto, especially if you go right back to your old habits, the weight can come back fast. And that is frustrating. So who is it good for? If you're dealing with insulin resistance, severe sugar addiction, or inflammation, and you've got the structure and mindset to stick with it in the short term, keto might be well worth exploring as a reset. But it's not a forever diet for most people. And if it leaves you feeling restricted, stressed, or isolated, well, that's not a win. Next up, intermittent fasting. Now this one gets a lot of attention, and it's not a diet technically. It's more when you eat and not necessarily what you eat. The most common version is the 16-8 fasting, where you fast for 16 hours and eat within an 8-hour window. So maybe you skip breakfast and eat from noon to 8 p.m. or shift it earlier, like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Here is why people like it. It simplifies meals, reduces late-night snacking, and gives your digestive system time to rest. It can also improve insulin sensitivity, which is huge if you're dealing with stubborn belly fat. But it's not a magic bullet. Here is what most people get wrong. They fast all day, but whenever they eat, which they want to do in the evening, or they skip meals, they feel exhausted and they binge later, thinking they are being good by fasting. Fasting only works if your meals are balanced when you do eat. And if your blood sugar is already unstable, or you're dealing with high cortisol or adrenal fatigue, fasting can make things worse, especially for women over 50. Fasting needs to be eased into and not forced. So what's the takeaway? If your meals are solid and your cravings are stable, intermittent fasting can be a powerful tool. I have used this quite successfully. Now, if you're skipping breakfast and then binging at night, that's not fasting. That's just undereating and overeating in a cycle. Try starting with a gentle 12-hour fast, maybe from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., before jumping into anything longer. And now, the underdog of the diet world, low carb. This is not zero carb, it's not keto. It's simply about reducing the excess refined carbs and the sugar, the white flour, and focusing on nutrient-dense whole foods. Think lean proteins, healthy fats, and tons of veggies, some fruit, maybe a little rice or sweet potato if your body handles it well. Why does this work? Because it balances your blood sugar, it keeps your insulin levels steady, and it naturally reduces cravings without making you feel like you're missing out. It's flexible, you can eat out, and you can have variety. You're not counting every gram or tracking every bite. That is a huge win for people who want real life and real results, not food obsession. But here's where people go wrong. They drop carbs but forget to add enough protein or fat. So they end up hungry, cranky, and even ready to give up. Or they go to extreme, trying to be perfect, and they burn out after a few weeks. Low carb should feel like a shift, not a shock to your system. So what's the best part? You can combine it with light intermittent fasting or even use some keto-style meals occasionally without going full-on with either extreme. Now, for midlife adults, especially over 50, low carbs is often the most sustainable place to start. It supports hormones, digestion, energy, and metabolism without creating diet drama. So, if you've been yo-yo dieting for years, this is the approach I recommend building your foundation on. So, which one reigns supreme? Here's the truth. None of these are magic, and none of them work if you cannot stay consistent. The best plan is the one that helps you control cravings and supports your energy, as well as it doesn't make you obsess over every bite. For most midlife adults, a low-carb foundation with a gentle fasting window, say 12 to 14 hours overnight, works best. You get the blood sugar benefits without the burnout of extreme restriction. And if your mindset and stress are not in check, no diet will fix that. We've got to support your metabolism from the inside out. So if you're over 50 and you're stuck in that cycle of trying diet after diet, here is what I'd recommend. Start by removing the biggest blood sugar bombs: sugar, bread, pasta, baked goods. Build your meals around lean protein, non-starchy veggies, and healthy fats. Don't skip meals if you're binging later. Stabilize your habits first. Then, once you're consistent, try fasting 12 hours overnight, and that's a 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., nothing crazy. And most importantly, work on the mindset that drives your habits. Cravings are not about willpower. They're about emotion, stress, and biology. There are no tools to fix, well, there are tools to fix that too. So you've probably tried every diet out there, but none of them stick. The problem isn't you. You just haven't found a system that fits your phase of life. That's why I created a simple 7-day challenge to help you lose your first 2 pounds or more without starving or obsessing. It's built for real people with real lives, and it costs less than a cup of coffee. Click on the link below to join. Let's reset your metabolism and your mindset starting today.